What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. My voice is back. I'm feeling better. Thanks for all the well wishes. People texting me, saying if I'm okay. Of course, I am Justin here with Meelz. What's going on, Meelz?
Still unemployed, baby. Come on now.
Hey, come on, man.
we here. We here. Still, the job market sucks ass, but we're here.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah, it's feeling a little 2010-ish to me right now in terms of just like what the fuck.
You'll know I get a job and we can't do the podcast at this time anymore because I feel like our days of I don't know if anyone who's been listening to the past 340 episodes. Justin and I have done this at the strangest times. They used to be at night because you used to get off work late.
Yeah.
And then, well, late to me, like, because you're 3 hours behind. And then we started doing it in the middle of the afternoon because we kind of want to get out of the way and just kind of live our lives and exist in anything all after it. So we love doing that. But I know once I get a job, and maybe once you get a job, and how everyone's like, we should go back to the offices.
I can assure you that whatever job that I get, it will not hinder me from doing this podcast. I assure you. It will never hinder me from doing this.
All right.
I say that to our listeners. I say that to our guests, to everyone that's listened for years. I always have a busy block out on my calendar.
Oh, that's the cheat code for sure. I've blocked out. Yeah. I block out times on my calendar. I was like, do you have this 2-hour meeting every Tuesday?
Planning. I always say it's planning. Planning meeting. Yeah, I have to plan the rest of my
and mine
week.
is like writing or something.
Yeah, but before we get too far into the banter, we got to bring somebody else in. Of course, last time you heard him was about a month and a half ago, almost, on our WrestleMania prediction show, big episode, and he's back again.
This might be the fastest anyone to spin the block on our podcast ever, to be honest.
But it's good. I almost feel like we need to have him back even more. Just to fucking sit, if not to just talk about the challenge, which I want to talk about today. Okay.
Because
I feel like I'm in. I'm locked in.
I'm for now until you're out.
I'm not out. What do you mean? I'm not gonna be out.
Let's intro Greg.
Okay, here you go. StatGuyGreg's on the show. You see, they know he's on the fucking show. He's on the placard.
Come on.
What's up, Greg?
I'm good, man. I too lost a job recently, as you might have heard. Cheap Heat is no longer with Spotify.
Sheesh.
So we went indie. But
okay.
Yeah, that might be for the best. I think that's for the best because as you guys saw, I mean, and some of your listeners also listen to Cheap Heat. We didn't miss a beat. We kept dropping episodes. We just lost the Spotify bag, but I think we'll be okay.
But I mean, you own your own masters, brother.
Exactly. Exactly.
You own your own masters.
Oh,
that's the benefit of going independent. RNC, y'all know how it is, man. That's the benefit of going independent.
I mean, we've been doing this by ourselves. We had sponsors for 2 weeks on the podcast at some point in like 3-4 years ago. We've been doing this dolo. We got our Patreon. I think the most important part is that we got the community, and that's the most important part with you guys because Cheap Heat has been rolling for a long time. Like it's got to be over a decade at this point, right?
Yeah, the podcast, I've been on it for 9 years, so I know the podcast has been going over. As a matter of fact, we hit the 10-year mark as a podcast like in October of last year.
That's awesome. Listen, man, we're on our way to 7, but
you see I'm repping for the 6.
I love it. I love it. I don't even know what my shirt is currently. I gotta pick it up.
But listen, I gotta say that it's been wrestling and challenge for me for the past week, and I'm blazing through these seasons like no other. Ask Meelz. I text him during every what the fuck moment. I don't know if it's as enjoyable for him to recap as it is for me to text him about these things, but I had a large blind spot because there was a point where I just stopped watching. Right. And my Wednesdays, I just didn't want, I just said, I don't really know these new people. I don't really want to know these new people. But then,
that's part of it.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like I equate it to, honestly, people who were Attitude Era fans. And then they come back to wrestling now and they're like, what the fuck is a Seth Rollins? Or what the fuck is a whatever.
It's
But that's
all
because
the people who dipped out when NXT went 2.0, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, where's my indie guys at? I've been following these people from the indies on the come up. Like, you watch people from Real World, then they get to the challenge or Road Rules. Road Rules, if you've been watching that long, they get to the challenge, they become mainstays on the challenge, and then they throw in like all these Big Brother people and people from Love Island and
Real World Explosion. I got to go back into that.
He's watching 29 right now, which is Invasion of the Champions. So yeah, that's like the last like real world inclusion of any kind of cast that's been on the show. From here on out, it's just Are You the One in British people.
Is that the one where CT has that legendary Johnny Bananas elimination where he just carries him like a toddler?
No, that's 10 seasons before that. See, the crazy thing about Justin's like, yes, he texts me, but the thing is, I don't have to watch any of these episodes because I remember everything that happened in almost every episode.
Encyclopedic knowledge of everything. So,
and I'm just like, just wait.
My wife is completely locked in. She's on the TikToks now. She's on the Instagrams. She's looking at everything now. She's like, Cam was so pretty back in the day, and she's beautiful now. She loves Cam. It might be unpopular opinion. She's a really big fan of Cara Maria, just as a competitor. She's a really big fan of Cara Maria.
As a competitor, she's good, I think. It's just like the other stuff.
She's annoying.
Yeah,
she's annoying as hell. Yeah.
She acknowledges the annoyance factor of Cara Maria, and that comes with the territory. She can't be perfect, but like she's a fan of her and CT. So we're double fisting Trader season 2 and challenge right now, and that's like a whole nother conversation. But
speaking of fisting, sorry, but you're also I'm assuming you're also watching Baddies Caribbean.
Yes.
What's the update on that? What do I need to know about that?
Yeah,
I mean, every kind of fist. I'm assuming.
That I've seen. Baddies Caribbean started off 2 episodes in, 2 of the biggest reality TV brawls. It's looking like next week is going to be the one. There is I'm gonna send the link to the preview for next week into our Discord. There is a almost Attitude Era fight where 2 women who fought at the auditions they are cast in the same show, and they're fighting and they go through a door, like literally go through a door.
Jay McMahon, Kurt Angle style,
bro. Yes, they go through the fucking door. There's a girl who tore her shoulder. She's fighting still. Krishan's sister hasn't even gotten into it yet. Let's just tell you that. Like it is already 2 episodes in, but way better than last season. Like just off top. It's great.
You said in our Discord, you said no women's division is topping Baddies.
No, absolutely not. I would put the Baddies roster. Here's the thing about the Baddies roster. They have nothing to lose. So if they were to go into a PC environment, they would be better than the women there because they have absolutely all they do is drink liquor and smoke weed. That's all they do. And pop their ass. That's all they do. It's like that. And like even with Jocelyn's Cabaret, like Jocelyn's Cabaret members are essentially they're like rabid dogs. Like Jocelyn keeps them in a basement practicing dances all day. So when they get up, what do they have to do but fight and claw and scratch? What is Lyra Valkyria doing against Scotty with the body? What is Nia Jax doing with Roly Poly?
Shayna Baszler
might be able to hit her.
It's not fucking with Taseki. You can see Taseki's hands.
I'm watching NXT Underground. So you saying that Lola Vice and Natalya would have a hard time going up against anyone if the Baddies roster showed up NXT Underground? They're having a bad night.
Yes, Stunner Girl. We'll work them. We'll work these women, bro. What are you talking about? Razor? All of them. Not Razor Ramon. Just Razor Behavior.
Just Razor.
Razor Behavior is her name.
Razor Behavior is nuts.
Listen, man. All they do is drink dark liquor and fight each other. Listen, why is no one like? Listen, okay. Other than the fact that yes, they're kind of embarrassing us in a lot of ways. Yes, this is the biggest blood sport out right now. Fuck the UFC. Fuck Slapfest or whatever the hell it's called. What's it called? Slapfest.
It doesn't even matter.
Power slap, whatever.
Yeah.
What about Josh Barnett?
Yes, this is better. Okay, like it's challenge, Baddies, wrestling. That's my like that's my football, basketball, hockey, football, basketball, baseball. That is what I live for. I don't watch any of that shit. This is what I watch.
He said,
This
"Fuck the
is
big
what I
three."
watch. Razor behavior. Taseki.
Let me ask you this: do you think, like, WrestleMania is going to be in Vegas next year?
Oh,
every year at WrestleMania, you got these indies.
mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that sounded like I said that derisively, but I mean, you know, indie promotions go and they put on these shows. Are you telling me that you think that a Baddies Caribbean, Baddies West, all Baddies wrestling show could ring off during WrestleMania weekend in Vegas?
Yes. I think that you put any of them in a training camp athletically. Give them a couple shots of Henny. Baddies shot o'clock. Baddy shot o'clock. It's over. They got to drink before though. That's like they spinach. Let them go through. Let them run it. Because the thing is,
roughing that.
They're getting to the bag. They get into the bag. That's what they say. They get into the bag. They're business owners. All of them are. Don't know what the business is. They just own businesses. That's what they say in all of their
entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs. They sell. Some of them say they sell. They do lashes. They do credit scores, and then some of them just straight up say, "Yo, I sell pussy, whatever it is." And if that's what they do, fuck it. Let them hustle. They hustlers.
Now, do we script the fights like we traditionally do in pro wrestling, or do you it just
like a 3 minute, maybe 3 minute time limit? I'm not sure what's the longest Baddies fight that's occurred?
2 episodes.
Okay. maybe main event goes 5. It's like Speed. It's like WWE Speed, right. But like with Baddies.
The thing is that the security's always breaking it up. So part of the match is that security got to be there too, breaking it up. There's always security there.
So you think we need rounds or something? Maybe.
Yes. And then they'll hold the match and they'll say, okay, let them run a fair one. And the fair one's usually 5-6 seconds. So you got to judge the fights off that. Okay. Mm. Is there a way we could bring up a Baddies fight?
Need judges? We need judges then?
You would probably need judges. You probably need judges for sure.
So we need Steve Wilkos as the ref because he's the only one that can break it up.
Because there was a clip I posted on our Discord of Krishan beating up a woman in the sink.
Yeah, she dunked her in the sink. It was
nuts. That's what we judge it off of. Because the thing is though, Meelz, she got back up and fought her again.
Of course.
So these women feel no pain.
But Krishan looked like Mike fucking Tyson, like prime Mike Tyson. And that she had the hoodie on and everything.
They feel no pain. It's all the dark liquor, brother. That's all it is. You got to give them the dark liquor first.
I think we might be onto something though. A Baddies, a night with the Baddies in Vegas, and it's just a promotion. And it's
bring them out. Let them fight matches. Mania. Let them
the Booker would have such a fucking hard time making sure they get everyone to Vegas at the same time to scheduled matches, making sure they get trained, everything.
They will sell it out. They will sell it out.
Nah, J5 is selling me. I haven't seen an episode of Baddies, nothing yet.
I've seen some clips.
I'm ready.
I get my password. It's Zeus. Whatever you want to do.
No, please. Don't introduce that to your house. I'm sure you have a please. I can't introduce it to my house for sure.
Greg next time we see Greg, it'll be black and white. Like Oppenheimer. That's literally what I do. I introduce things that just destroy the world, and that's what I do. But this was supposed to be about challenging to be about Baddies, but I'm on a challenge binge. That's what I'm watching right now. That's what I'm watching in between this great wrestling that we're getting in the past month. Like I gotta shout out all parties involved. That since Mania, I feel like a lot of companies are cooking. I feel like WWE is cooking on another level after Mania in terms of just the quality of the wrestling they're putting in the shows. And I think this week on both shows really proves how true that is.
They got tired of people pulling out the stopwatch.
Yeah.
I mean, this is true. But I also feel like, to be honest with you, this post-Mania, I wouldn't be mad at a post-Mania. We're setting up for King of the Ring after Mania. Like now I kind of feel like we have to expand it. Like let's do like actual qualifying matches for this King of the Ring. Let's go through the month of April. You qualify the month of May, you fight, and then the big fight is at the end of June. Like literally like the the NBA in-season tournament that they do now.
And have it
And
be with people who aren't on the Mania card, because that's largely what a lot of this is like there's like a few people that were on it, but a lot of it is like the mid-carders and upper mid-carders that weren't able to be on the card, and new people. I think the introduction of the new talent, I think Monday or last night really like solidified it, like with Lyra and Ilya and all the new draftees that came into the show. They're given time in a way that, like, I look at this draft and I'm like, I thought last year's draft was cool. This year's even better because they actually have something to do. And even for the people who got drafted that aren't, and we'll talk about it later when we talk about Raw, like, I'm really enjoying Braun Breaker's story right now as well, where it's like, where the fuck is he? And they're building that anticipation. So like there's stories outside of the tournament story too.
Right. No, absolutely. So before, we want to get into Big King of the Ring talk on this episode. Greg, I would like to ask you, this is just off the cuff. This is not on the thing.
Let's do it.
King of the Ring winners. What makes a good King of the Ring winner? Maybe who have been the best King of the Ring winners? Like, what do you feel like the King of the Ring is supposed to also accomplish as well?
I feel like the King of the Ring needs to send somebody to the next level, right? Obviously, who's the best King of the Ring winner? I'm gonna say my guy Bret Hart, right? Because he won the King of the Ring, and then he went right back to the of course. No. Well, listen. Here's the thing about Stone Cold Steve Austin, right? He won the King of the Ring. That tournament though was kind of lackluster. The tournament.
I was about to pull it up. Hold on, let me see.
And then
there we go.
No. Listen, he's a legend. We're not taking that away from him. But he wasn't even supposed to win that year. He wins. He launches into that epic Austin 316 promo. And then people forget that he doesn't realize the power of that promo. And like, he doesn't become that guy until like almost a year later. Like he feuds with Bret a little bit. Then he has the WrestleMania moment with Bret. And then that's the Stone Cold that everybody thinks of as the god that they associate with that Austin 316 promo, even though they're a year apart.
Yeah.
Can I bring up the
King of the Ring also?
Can I bring up the 1996 bracket just really, really quickly?
Yeah.
Savio Vega.
It's always Savio. If there's Austin involved in 1996, Savio Vega is not too far away. First round matchups. Ahmed Johnson versus Vader. That might ring off in 2024.
Bro, that shit probably went hard too.
Not Goldust, that Vader, I don't know.
Goldust versus Ultimate Warrior. This is like second run Ultimate Warrior, so I have no idea how the fuck.
And that one ended in a double count out too.
Yeah. It's insane. Hunter Hearst Helmsley versus Jake Roberts. Now, I wasn't actually familiar with this other run of Jake Roberts. I know it was like heavily Christian based and all this other stuff like that because that led to the big promo. But Triple H was getting punished because of the MSG incident, so he had no chance in hell. Justin Bradshaw versus Henry O. Godwin, which I think is Midian. No, it's not. It's the other one. It's not Midian. It's the other one.
Midian was Phineas I. Godwin, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
Hog and Pig.
You would know. Justin Bradshaw, Henry O. Godwin, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bob Holly. I feel like Austin never worked Bob Holly ever again. Like, he was like, "No, I'm good." Marty Jannetty versus Savio Vega. Mark Merrill versus Skip. Skip is Chris Candido.
Yeah. And
Owen Hart versus Yokozuna. And somehow it gets to Jake Roberts versus Stone Cold Steve Austin in the finals, and we get that big, massive moment. But please, Greg, great King of the Ring winners in history.
I think Kurt Angle, King Booker, obviously is at the top of the list, right? Because not only did he win, he won the crown, and then he did what the hell you were supposed to do with that crown. Like, he had that fake British accent that he would go in and out of.
He wins the world title.
Right, he won the world title. He was king of the world for a little while. So yeah, Booker T's obviously one of the great King of the Ring winners. Brock Lesnar too. That was the first and only King of the Ring tournament that had stakes attached to it. It was you win the King of the Ring, you go on to a championship match at SummerSlam. That was sort of an informal thing that they did previously, but for that one, they finally said it. The King gets this championship because King Mabel won and then got a championship match at SummerSlam. But, you know, we don't talk about that. Bret Hart won, and he was supposed to get Hulk Hogan at SummerSlam, but that match didn't happen. So Brock actually won, actually goes on to SummerSlam, wins the title, and he's out of there after that. Like
the King of the Ring roster after Booker, the roster of winners look kind of suspect, to be honest with you. First,
Sheamus,
this happens.
Baddies, Barrett.
Yeah, this happens like once every like 3 years at this point. Afterwards, we got William Regal, who beat CM Punk in the finals. I remember that specifically.
That shit pissed me off.
They wanted to do such a thing. They had him and Layla.
Remember they were having him take the show to commercial, like that.
Yeah,
his gimmick.
There was one episode of Raw, I think he might have been on his way to winning a world title, and then there was a wellness policy violation. But
yeah,
it was crazy because like the last time we saw him is like he's this tyrant GM, and he's just like he kills the feed on Raw, and it goes to black like that with William Regal like being a psychopath. And what's going to happen next week?
I'm impressed if you remember that, because I don't remember a single second of that.
It was a dark period, so you shouldn't remember that. We're near the guest host era, I think, at that point too, or we're in the guest host period at that point too.
Right. Yeah. The next one after that was Sheamus. He beats John Morrison. Then we have Bad News Barrett, who becomes King Barrett. I guess that's solid. Yeah. Baron Corbin, who became king for like 3 years after that.
Yeah.
Until Shinsuke Nakamura took his crown and it just became Shinsuke Nakamura.
Did you believe that they did this 3 years ago? And it felt like it was last year with the way that Xavier talks about it. And I was like, wait a minute, he didn't win King of the Ring last year.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, we had a Saudi Arabia 3 years ago? Holy shit. Like,
yeah, Saudi. It's crazy how long the Saudi show's been going. I think it's like since 2019.
Yeah. No, for sure. So Xavier Woods is the last winner. He is unable to, I guess, defend his crown, even though like Roman really took that shit and just
smashed it. Yeah, he didn't even get a new. He didn't even get a new crown. He was just like,
nah, you can't after that.
Okay.
So with this roster of King of the Ring 2024, out of those remaining, we have the question: who would benefit the most from King of the Ring?
Okay,
and who should win King of the Ring? I'm gonna start with you, Justin. I'm gonna start on the men's side, because on the men's side, of course, we're in the semifinals now in terms of the Raw side. SmackDown side has yet to be determined. We'll figure that out on Friday. But out of everyone still on the plane, Jey Uso, Gunther, LA Knight, Randy Orton, Carmelo Hayes, and Tama Tonga, who would benefit the most from King of the Ring?
It's looking like all things are going towards Gunther. I think the best match out of all of this is probably Gunther versus Randy Orton. Not gonna lie. I think that's what we're headed to. But I think with Gunther, the question is, if he doesn't have a title, what is he doing? If it's not time for him to get the world title, what is he doing?
Right.
And I think that there are a lot of different avenues you can go with him. But outside of that, you have to give him something to make him feel like a big event. He doesn't wrestle every week. This is like the most we've seen Gunther wrestle in a year. Like he's wrestled like 4 times in like the past month. You know what I mean? And that, like, that's not normal. So you have to give him something where, you know, and Berlin's coming up. You know what I mean? So I think that there's just so much juice to the squeeze to just having Gunther do it. Are we gonna get to the Ilya thing yet? Is that something that we wait for, or is it?
We can get to the Ilya thing, but I'd love to hear Greg's take on who you think would probably benefit the most. I mean, who you think is going to win? I think we all have a similar idea of who's going to win, but who you think would benefit the most from King of the Ring?
Who would benefit the most is tough to. I think Gunther benefits the most out of everybody who's left. It's either Gunther or Carmelo that benefit the most out of everybody who's left. And the design of the crown being so icy tells me that it could very well end up on Carmelo Hayes.
I mean, that's something I never took into account, but it's definitely true.
Gunther don't need all that ice, man. Like if it was the same crown that like kind of Xavier Woods had, or like a more traditional crown like a Bret Hart had,
right?
I could see Gunther wearing it, if not carrying it around. But in terms of somebody who's gonna like have that placed on their head, it just doesn't look right on Gunther's head. I'm sorry, that iced out crown. So I'm gonna say, just off the look of the crown, my picks are Jey Uso or Carmelo Hayes, because that's the only two people who the crown would actually look good on.
Yeah, I see Carmelo, but it's like he's gonna have to beat like Randy Orton on Friday. He's gonna have to beat LA Knight if that's what happens. Like that is an icy crown. That is a TKO.
That's the women's crown, I believe. That's the Queen's crown.
Is that the Queen's one?
Yeah, that might be the Queen's one. Still icy though. Just be clear. Just be clear. Still icy. But there's no there's no tiny little ice. No, nothing.
It's too.
But you also run into here's my thoughts here. Like you run into a lot of issues here, right? One of them being that if Drew McIntyre or Damian Priest are to hold that, or if that's what happens on the way to Berlin, a King of the Ring only makes you heel. So like it has to go to like a heel. Like it's never gone to like a white meat babyface, has it? Like or been a babyface that hasn't turned heel down the line, right?
No, it has. It has. But here's the funny thing that happens when a babyface gets the crown,
they turn.
That's you. No, they don't turn, but that's usually when their biggest rival emerges, and they get the shit kicked out of them a little bit. Like you think of Xavier Woods, he got his crown stomped by Roman Reigns shortly after.
Right.
Bret Hart didn't even get to wear his crown. Jerry Lawler took it, beat him with the scepter. That was the first and last time we see Bret Hart with his crown. Edge wins his King of the Ring, and then I think Kurt Angle was so jealous that they
it was Christian.
Yeah, so the King of the Ring, it ends up being a driving force for the babyface to become even more babyface, but they definitely don't strut around with the crown. Like their biggest hater pops up out the bushes and it just makes life hell for them.
So it's gotta be Jay.
Because his biggest hater is right there in the tournament on the other side.
Yeah, it's gotta be Jay. Mm-hmm. Wow. People are gonna be very mad. Let me
mad.
I already see the turn coming, even as he gets bigger in terms of popularity. Like these people are doing the bounce before he even gets out there now. Like it's over.
But now there's a light stick to it now.
Yeah, they turn the lights out for it now. You know what I mean? Like
they gave you lasers too.
He's a big freaking deal. And I think going into it, why would you not want him to be your number 2 babyface next to Cody on that Raw brand? That makes so much sense for me. It makes a lot of sense for Jay to win this. I think that they're treading some really tough waters because you have so many workhorses. And then you have Jey Uso kind of doing what he does. But I enjoy Jey Uso. I enjoy him a lot. I think that even I saw people saying that the Ilya match wasn't good last night. I thought the match was really good. Like I thought Ilya worked around Jay's. Like it's the same way. To me. It gave the trick match to me. I'm like he worked around what he couldn't do, and they worked a really good match, and it was super solid. He made Jay bleed. Like Jay took a lot and he gave a lot. And I thought the match was really good.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is it? Oh, sorry, Meelz. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I thought it was also very, very well and very the turn on Jey Uso as we currently see is happening. Well, I don't know if it's currently happening because when you get into the arena, everyone loves Jey Uso. Exactly. So I think it's just, to be honest with you, it feels like internet discourse about that people wanted Ilya versus Gunther in the semifinals. Which to me, I said last week, I was like, why would you give that away in a semifinal match?
Yeah, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. What do you
if it was a finals match, I get it, but a semifinals match, you wouldn't necessarily give it away. And then also, we don't have to have I actually prefer for people who just brought up or people new not to have these very long undefeated streaks.
Yeah.
Because then you don't really have to book around it as much. So Ilya taking his first loss. Now we can sort of maneuver with Ilya a little bit better. What were you saying, SGG?
No, well, you raised a good point that I want to work backwards from. Like he takes his first loss on the main roster to the hottest act on Raw. That's not a bad spot to be in.
Yeah,
not at all.
To be honest,
and then people. I wouldn't say that Jey Uso's not a workhorse. I just think that his style, and even J5 sort of alluded to it when he said Ilya worked around his limitations or the things he can't do. I think it's more so the things he won't do, right? Because I feel like he's turned down his moveset a little bit because he realized he doesn't need it because his character work has gotten so incredible that he's able to give you the facial expressions, give you the entrance, raise the crowd's energy up, take that type of beating that will bring the energy down, and they go on that roller coaster with him. Like he takes them through the highs and lows, and then he gets to come in and hit his comeback, hit his 5 to 7 moves or whatever it is. And whether he wins or he loses, you're ready to see him the next time his music hits.
Yeah. And
so he set himself up very well.
And be real, like he ate a lot of shit going into Mania. You know what I mean? He lost a lot of matches going into Mania. He lost a lot of big matches going into Mania. So like to me, I think psychology wise, it's like, well, Ilya beat Gunther, and I'm like, well, Jay almost beat Roman Reigns, and Jay actually pinned him. So it's like it's not like a power level here. It's like one is clearly a bigger star than the other is right now, and the story they're telling, we don't know the end of yet. So let it keep playing out. Like we don't know the end of what's going to happen. So let it play out. So you guys have actually converted me over to it being Jay, because I think Jay makes the impossible run. If Jay can beat Gunther, then it's like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And it also forces Gunther, because I'm gonna be real. I think they're gonna turn Gunther babyface. I think they're gonna turn him babyface. I think that it was very deliberate. I think it was very deliberate. I think it was very deliberate what they did on Raw, having Ludwig cut that promo without Gunther being there. I thought it was a very interesting thing that they did to have him cut that promo on all of Gunther's enemies and Gunther not be there, and Gunther be locked in on the matches but not be talking anymore. I think they're either gonna turn him baby or make him not as heelish as he used to be. Going into Berlin, he can't be a heel. Into Berlin, he can't be a heel.
Drew's gonna be heel going into Scotland. Yeah, I think Drew's gonna also be heel.
She wasn't working heel though, Greg.
Right.
Against Nia Jax.
No. That's absolutely true. But I don't know. I feel like I was thinking about this randomly. Don't ask me why. I mean, I'd be thinking of wrestling stuff randomly as I walk through the streets. I was like, who's next after Cody, right? Like, who's the next person they're developing, they're building, they're really putting things behind? Like, there's an actual because when you know WWE's building someone, you'll know it because of the investment in time they usually put into someone. And to me, that's Gunther and Jey Uso, to be honest with you. I mean, those are the two right there. I don't know I think Jey Uso could realistically come out with a world title somewhere in the future, but I feel like it's much closer in Gunther's trajectory than it is with Jey Uso. And I think that's because he's the monster heel. Like, he literally, I think he's the most indomitable, but also like the most foolproof heel on that show, other than Drew. But now I want to switch to the women, right? So the women, last night we saw a couple of quarterfinal matches, but then we also saw some on Friday, which we'll talk about in the recap a little later on. But the women are still left in the field. I mean, the women's rosters, this is a tough one, to be honest with you.
They've been killing it too, match-wise.
We have Io Sky, Lyra Valkyria, Nia Jax, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Tiffany Stratton. Who benefits the most from winning?
Okay, I'm selfishly, Tiffany Stratton, but realistically, Io Sky. Realistically, yes.
I'm so interested. I can see B losing to Tiffany. I'm so interested what that Jade Cargill and Nia Jax match is going to look like. I'm so not like look like, because I'm sure it'll be heavy hitting and hard hitting and all this other stuff like that. But I'm so interested because it would be such a stark difference from how she's built in AEW, where essentially she's been undefeated. And that's kind of the Jade that we know. Undefeated, can, beat anybody at any time kind of thing, has the skill to pay the bills. So I don't know. It's just like, am I ready to see Jade Cargill take a pinfall victory or pinfall loss at this point?
It won't be clean. It will not be clean. It will not be clean. I think there's a lot of chicanery going on around the Nia, Tiffany, B, Jade stuff right now. I think there's a lot of like chicanery that happens there. But I don't think there's going to be a world where EO is going to be facing another heel at King and Queen in the Ring. So it'll either be EO Jade, and that's going to be one to watch, or it'll be EOB, a match that has proven to be gangbusters overseas, doing that again. And storyline implication wise is a big deal as well because of the Bailey, Damage Control, Bianca, Jade interactions that have happened. I think they're crafting and weaving a very cool storyline if it pays off. But to me, I think the women's side of this whole tournament is really interesting based on what it's predicated around, and that is the Jade thing. We're watching her improve, but they're also tag team champions. Bianca's knee. Does the knee carry her to Saudi, and does it get her there? Like, there's a lot of really cool stories they can tell there, but in the end, I feel like it's going to be Damage Control and another person a part of that storyline on the other side.
I disagree. I think I'm going back to my crown theory. It's too icy for EO, man. I think.
What does EO's
crown?
You
think they made a crown for niggas?
Let's know.
Hold on. Pull up
what crown she's supposed to have.
Pull up the Kings. Look at King Corbin's crown, how it fit his character. Look at how all these crowns fit these characters.
I gotta find the crown. Hold on.
This is a Tiffany Stratton crown. This is Tiffany Stratton crown. Yes, I'm serious. This is a Tiffany Stratton crown. Okay, I think that Bailey wants to get her hands on Tiffany Stratton so bad that she interferes, and that causes a wedge between her and Bianca again, because Bailey can't stay out of her business now. That's how Tiffany Stratton gets past Bianca. Jade, I don't know how she's gonna get past Jade. I'll be honest. I don't know how she's gonna get past Jade.
Yeah.
That's not for me to figure out. But
that's huge, bro.
I think it's gonna be Lyra, Tiffany Stratton in the finals, and this is a Tiffany Stratton crown, and she's gonna be walking away at the end of this with this crown. And that's my prediction.
I don't
God
know.
Bless.
I don't know. I really don't know.
Queen Tiffany would be cool, but also don't know. I mean, here's the thing. It's an embarrassment of riches kind of deal, right? Like, anybody could win at this point. Realistically, I don't know. I'm fine with anybody left winning because it seems like they all have reasons. Even Lyra to an extent. Lyra would probably
Lyra getting her head kicked in on Monday.
I know. But like, even if it was something EO like fucking tears the ACL, God forbid. But like, if something like that happens, I'm fine. You know what I'm saying? But God, man, any of these four on SmackDown could win. The thing about what makes this a great King of the Ring tournament is because they didn't add any fluff this time. You know what I'm saying?
All filler, no filler.
Yeah, they're all hard. Even the ones that, like, you know, the Shayna Baszler, Maxine Dupree, you get that. But Shayna Baszler had we're gonna talk about that on Raw. Great match though. But like, yeah, these are all very strong people.
I got a question. Is the new regime bringing out the best in all the people that were barely used or not used at all before, you know, everything fully went over to TKO? Like, is he utilizing all these talent the best right now? I just want to know what y'all think.
I think,
because I feel like everyone has something to do. Like, everyone is doing something except for like Isla Dawn and fucking Alba
except
Fire.
For like Apollo and like, you know, all those other niggas. Yeah. I think honestly, if you're still hired, they might be waiting for your contract to end. But if you're still hired, there's something, because apparently they just not firing niggas no more.
That's crazy.
But if you're still around, you still have something to contribute. I'm I feel like, I don't know, with Speed, there's another opportunity with, main event. And I don't even know if they still do main event. Oh yeah, they do, because the Witches were on it. They're utilizing a lot of people they're utilizing people way better than the previous regime, but it's still not everybody. You know what I'm saying? But
who do you want to see?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I knew you were gonna ask that. Who the fuck you want to see? Apollo? Yes. Sometimes I would love to see if Apollo is making bread to feed his children. Yeah. I would love to see a Cedric Alexander. Sure, I'm fine with that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man.
or a tap out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, one of them. You know what I'm saying?
You saw Cedric. You saw Cedric.
I mean,
like 20 seconds.
Yes. Yeah. He got bronzed.
What more you want to see from that nigga?
But it's even if they're not, there are people who are being used on NXT. Meechin's on NXT now. Shayna Baszler's doing part-time on NXT. She picked up a shift. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro, Mark said Me Pin the other day.
Me Pin was crazy.
Wow. Me Pin was nuts. Yeah, Me Pin is kind of nuts. But she killed it in the combine. The work combine.
Report from Fightful. The combine was fake, y'all. So don't think that
no shit.
They did any of that. Sheesh. But just a question. But we got something else coming up. That was Queen and King of the Ring. We're gonna talk about the shows a little bit later on show reviews on Patreon. Bryan Danielson, have you guys seen this? He said his contract is getting ready to expire. He said he wants to do one more big show, that being Wembley this year. But he said that he's going to be a lot more scarce around the AEW world. What do you guys think he has accomplished or contributed to AEW thus far?
You didn't have to laugh at the question. It's just what's in front of you. Just read what's in front of you, baby.
There is a statement that I said years ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, where I said that, and it's cool because Greg's on the show, because he's the main one that disagreed with me when I said this. I said Danielson on AEW is reminding me a lot of Bret Hart.
I still disagree.
But you okay? Here's the thing: you disagree, but you won. And I told you this before. I said, you know what? I shake your hand, Booker Man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I agree. You converted me, Booker Man. But
it's so much worse than.
But I agree with you. But I feel like this question means something different depending on what side of the fence you're on about what you feel about AEW's success, or whatever you feel about what they're doing, compared to, like, if you're a super fan, you think Bryan Danielson has moved the needle on the match quality that they've done. He's gotten multiple star matches that they've had there. But if you're looking at it in a kind of a macro sense or economic sense, like, he hasn't really like drawn the most like he probably did when he was in the WWE. Like what did he offer? So, other than memes about him reprimanding people for tweets, what has he offered or accomplished in AEW? What does those accomplishments like live up to, in your opinion, Greg?
Well, go ahead, Greg.
Gilbert accomplished more during his WWE run than Daniel Bryan has accomplished.
You were the wrong person to ask first.
Gilbert. I'll say this.
Dwayne Gilbert?
Gilbert at least won a championship. Gilbert was at least entertaining on every go out.
Gilbert at least won a championship is crazy.
He did. He's won more championships than Daniel Bryan. But Daniel Bryan is it's wasted potential, right? Because you think about Adam Cole debuts and then Daniel Bryan debuts right behind him. And this is like the hottest debut they had. And this is with CM Punk coming back multiple times in Chicago, right? That's one of the hottest debuts they had. And then he doesn't do much of anything. And I wouldn't even say that he raised the match quality. He gave you exactly what he gives every time that he's out there. And sure, he gets the good matches, but his character work dropped dramatically from where it was in WWE. You say he's Brett in WCW. I would say he's Vader in WWF. This great champion all over the world, a lot of hype, a lot of potential. He comes in, he has a couple of bangers, but they really don't amount to anything at the end of the day. Because
Vader was very I guess
all.
Vader was disappointing. Like Vader's like his WWE run is like known as disappointing. I couldn't label Bryan's run as that. What I'll say Bryan contributes is the ability to AEW, at least, is what his current value is, and what we've seen over the last number of pay-per-views is big match Bryan, where you need to have that match to kind of like sell your card to the fan base you're trying to appease to. So you book a Bryan Danielson versus Okada. You book a Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega. You book a Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay. So in my thing, like what he contributes is, well, it's definitely nothing on a macro and economic level. But he has done literally nothing. Like, it is like being able to say like, yo, we know you're going to have that big match on the card, and it's probably going to be a Bryan Danielson match.
But they could have made money. They could make money with him.
I mean, yes,
they absolutely could make money. Like Sting made the most money for AEW this year. Sting made the most money for AEW this year because they treated his retirement with respect, and they made it a must-see thing outside of everything else they had going on during that period of time. If they could do that for Bryan Danielson, they would make a lot of money. But I think that at this point, he's not the big match winner. I think it would be very transparent if they started giving him titles now that he's like about to retire. Like that would be kind of crazy. Like
Sting.
but I mean, but with Sting, it was more like, you know, we're respecting you for your 35, 40 years in the game. Bryan, it's like, oh, he's retiring. Let's try and do the Sting thing again. You know what I mean? Let's try and do that shit again. You can't do that again with him because he was never won it before. So I think with Bryan, in terms of like what he's contributed, it's like I saw someone say one time that this Bryan run is better than his ROH run. This Bryan run is better than his WWE run. And I'm just like, man, honestly, I still think that that Morishima match with Bryan is better than a lot of the stuff that I've seen AEW. I'm not gonna lie. Other than like outside the Ospreay match, which I thought was great. I thought the Kenny match was great. I thought I kind of edged the Hangman match above a lot of those. I thought those two matches were great. I still really like the Miz match with Bryan, where he was holding back for the punch to the face. I said that a lot. That's one of the best psychology that I've seen in a wrestling match ever. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my favorite matches ever. But I'm like, I can't put that over that because he in AEW, like Greg said, he's giving you what he always gives. He's giving what it always gives. And I can't, again, like I said about AEW, like I'm good matched out. I'm great matched.
And I was gonna say that too, Meelz. Like I hate to do this to you, but you showed your work and then you still arrived at the wrong answer. Like, Daniel Bryan's a guy that delivers the big matches. They put him in there to do the dream matches, but at some point they're doing a disservice to Daniel Bryan by just having him be another piece that feeds the beast. That is their fan base that only wants to dream matches, because Daniel Bryan is doing so much more than that. So if you take a guy like him and you just make him another dream match guy, and you just make him another part of feeding the beast, then your answer is right there. He's contributed nothing. He just became a part of the machine, and it rolled on, and it didn't elevate him or anybody else.
I'm gonna give, no, for sure. While I'll say I 100% agree with you. My argument was never what he actually. My argument is like what he currently represents in AEW, because realistically, the character, everything is kind of diminished, but he's done that willingly, right? Like I don't understand why he still gets put in title matches knowing he willingly wants to lose. He has no intention on winning the world title, no intentional thing, which to me seems like a massive. It's the same thing Cody did.
He's making a guy. I think that's what it is. He's making a guy. I'm just like, bro.
It's a massive disservice. Like, you don't have to. The way you play hero for this company and for others is putting the most eyeballs you can on it.
Yep.
Making it so then you can.
Bryan don't want to do that. Like he never wanted to do that. That's why, like you kind of see. I think he's even said it. Like he don't want to carry that responsibility. You know what I mean? Like I almost feel like he didn't even want to carry the WWE title responsibility. Like he could have got that title more than once. You know what I'm saying? Or more than twice, or however many times he got it. Like I don't feel like he wanted to. Like imagine Bryan have to do all his press. Like he's completely free from those responsibilities here. I almost feel like a lot of AEW champs, other than the one they got now, like to do press that much. I mean, I see an interview with him every other week. I see an interview with him more than I saw with MJF. You know what I'm saying? But like, I just don't. That's not Bryan's thing.
It's to me. That's always been my major issue with him in AEW is just like what could have been with his run. You know what I'm saying? It's a still, I would say, matches. He gets them all out where he wants to. He gets all his stars. He gets all the play, acclaim. He gets all of that stuff. He's still going to be. It's like, damn, am I going to get heat for this? Good Lord.
Oh boy.
It's like the last two Beyonce albums, right?
Oh boy. Watch where you going with this. I don't want no smoke with the Hive.
Really good albums, but they're not meant to be a commercially viable kind of thing. It's more about the artistry of it all, right? And it kind of depends like where your artistry kind of lies, what your taste kind of is, how that kind of like comes into play. Do you like, country music? Do you like him, I don't even know if he still hasn't had a match in Japan, has he? Or the big match in Japan.
He was
right. Yes. Oh yeah. He was at Wrestle Kingdom this year. So like depends on kind of like your, what your favorite Beyonce. Like we have a friend. Shout out to Cam. Cam is like, no offense, not trying to throw him under the bus. I don't know how he feels about his Beyonce opinions being public, but he hates the last two albums. He hates the last two albums because he wants self-titled. He wants Drunken Love. He wants the hits. He wants 7-Eleven. He wants some shit he could bop to in the club. You know what I'm saying? We also want those big kind of matches, but now Bryan is like, yo, I've had those things. I've explored those things. But to be honest with you, he's not contributing what he could for this company. It's more so like, how does his legacy kind of like end within AEW? And I think AEW is more so like, we done such a great job with the legacy of Bryan Danielson as he's closing out this chapter of his career. And it's like, you could have made some more guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you could have. Cesaro stands next. Cesaro's been next to him the entire time.
He could have made. He could have not made Hangman. He could have not made Kenny. He could have not made fucking Ospreay. I stand by the fact that I think Ospreay should have lost that match against him. I think that it would like sending Ospreay away to not like if Ospreay loses that match, we're looking at him going after the Roderick's title a little bit differently. We're looking at it like, okay, they're gonna make him start from the bottom a bit, and they're gonna have him work his way back up to Bryan. Eventually, Bryan wins the title. That's a good story.
And also, if he loses that match against Bryan, like his character has to evolve.
Yes.
But now they both get to just be the good match guys still because
good match guy part 2. You know what I'm saying?
There's no ending. And then Bryan is back and he's gonna do Anarchy in the Arena. And it's
like, just back randomly. I was just like, what?
There's no rhyme or reason to what he's doing, like there was rhyme or reason to any, like it just feels like he's just kind of filling spots. And I know someone asked on in our Discord, like, oh, hey, could you see Bryan going back to WWE after the contract's over? And I'm like, I really don't think he would. Like the WWE now is not what Bryan Danielson. AEW is absolutely who he is and what he wants to do, and he's around the people he wants to be around. He's not trying to be around Logan Paul. He's not trying to be around all of that shit. Like that's just not what he is about. This is a much different company than the one that he left 3 years ago. Real shit.
I feel like AEW is more his speed, just based on, again, like kind of like you say, just like it's not as, I don't say it's not as big, but even though it's true, but it's just AEW is more his speed. But I can absolutely see him having some sort of interest in WWE because I do feel like there's a lot of matches he even though he's not full time, I'm like, bullshit. If they, if they call you to do a WrestleMania, you might do it. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's like, I've done all the WrestleManias, I've main evented WrestleManias and all this other shit like that.
Well, he's wrestled everybody that people wanted him to wrestle at this point. He did Okada, he did Ospreay, he did Shizuki. He I don't think he's done Shibata yet, right? Has he done Shibata? I don't even know.
I think he has. Yeah, I think he has.
Yeah. He's wrestled all the Japanese people. He did Omega. He's wrestled Mox. He's done everything, literally everything, other than I don't think he got to Punk by the time Punk left, but like he's done everything. So yeah, I guess he wants Ilya Dragunov. It's not going to be. They're not going to let him kill himself to do that. If it doesn't make sense for him to do medically, they're still going to block him. And I think that's really why he won't go back. Is because they're going to stop him from doing what he wants to do.
And also too, and I might get killed for this, but I feel like WWE has passed him by, long passed him by. That's the company that Edge was at last year, Adam Copeland, and looked around and said, damn, there's not much for me to do here either. Not because there wasn't any matches on the table, but just like creatively. And then when you have the company moving
Christian
in that
didn't even get the run. Christian didn't even get the run. Nigga was just like, all right, I'm not even gonna try.
Yeah, so Daniel Bryan going back to that, knowing that like they're moving towards the future, like what's he gonna do? Is he gonna wrestle Cody? And then what? Because then at some point, right, like the other guys that he's going to see at the top of the card, your Jey Usos, your Gunthers, an Ilya Dragunov match sounds sexy, but okay. But you got like Braun Breaker waiting in the wings. You got Carmelo Hayes. This company it just moved on. I don't
think he wants to be putting over. Go ahead. Finish.
I was going to say, I'm not saying that he's washed, but I'm just saying that like, this is a completely different animal. Does he want to have to relearn that again?
I don't think he wants to put over athletic kids like ex-football players as much anymore. I guess he wants to wrestle. Sidebar, random thing, AEW news, because I saw it on my feed. Did y'all know Rio was getting paid $400,000 a year?
That's the rumor. That's the rumor.
They said that she said it on television.
Oh wow!
What?
She said she got paid 60 million yen, which translates to 400,000. I got that from the court experience, but that's what they said that she said on television, and I was like, wow.
Listen, man, I think a lot of people in AEW are getting overpaid, and to some people that might be well within what they should be getting paid. But I think for what they do, the figures that I've heard are astronomical compared to what people do on TV. There was literally somebody on that TV screen on Dynamite last week that was literally in a managerial role, and I know they're making millions of dollars to do that. But shout out to her.
Hey,
if you could get it,
if you could get it from them, then fine, take advantage of that shit. But Rio, take advantage of it.
Get 100 more if you could get it.
Exactly. The thing is that they can't sustain this. I think with like the news coming out that, I mean, Turner might not get NBA back. I think that the purse strings are going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. I don't think that opens up the money. I think that money is booking it for some other things. I don't think you magically get $1 billion because NBA doesn't take the $1 billion. I think if you give $1 billion something that you think could get you $1 billion, and I think that's what it is. Because when you think about it in their portfolio, like WWE gets the money that it gets based off of the amount of business that they do, and like I think that if you're not making half of that business, just pumping money into something is not going to get you that money. And I think that like people don't seem to understand that like just because they lose $9 billion doesn't mean AEW is getting $9 billion or anything close to it. Like
right. And I said this too. NBA on TNT has been the golden goose for Turner. Discovery, Warner, whatever you want to call it, right? For decades. If they are playing these games with the cash cow, what will they do with the mouse? Or the roach or the bird or whatever you want to call it, right? Like
the roach is crazy.
You don't suddenly become their main thing. Is my point, right? If they're playing these games with the NBA and they lose the NBA, that does, they have billions to save, but Zaslav doesn't seem like the guy that's going to take those billions and spin it back into content. He's going to try to spin it into his pocket.
It's going to Batman. It's going to Harry Potter. It's going to Superman. It's going to whatever James Gunn's doing. Like, that's what they're going to double down on IP the same way that they've done. I look at, Bill Simmons said, this morning it's going to NBC. I'm like, that's going to be a lot more layoffs for people at Warner. And I think that people are looking at the AEW thing as like, well, what's it going to mean for me? And it's like, no, what's it going to mean for all these people that have offices in Turner and WB's headquarters that are just for NBA, that are not going to have jobs. Like, it's going to be a fucking bloodbath if this is true. Like that's going to be terrible for all of them. And I think that opens up WB to be fucking sold again, which is crazy, to be sold twice in 3 years. Like, that is insane.
Yeah. I've worked for a job that got sold twice in 3 years. Same fucking thing. Same fucking thing. Terrible mismanagement by someone who has no idea what they're doing. With that said, 2 quick fast bits before we head over to Patreon. More information came out about Drew Gulak's release. Said Dave Meltzer offered some additional details on the situation. According to Meltzer, various individuals in the company stated Gulak's departure was related to Rousey's allegation. No shit. WWE said was to investigate the incident, but failed to come to a definitive conclusion. Still, the decision was made to allow Gulak's contract to expire. If he didn't tweet anything, I feel like he'd probably be in better standing, but also I feel like he probably would have still been fired. There is a lot of talk about Gulak being accused of being difficult to work with, including stories about the performer being vindictive towards other wrestlers in the ring. Loki, I think one of the stories was that he targeted previous injuries that wrestlers had. He got reprimanded by Shawn Michaels for dropping someone essentially on their head with a driver or something along those lines. Drew Gulak, man. Tough bit, but see you, bro. See you in AEW, bro.
I ain't shedding no tears. I can remember back in like 2020 when he didn't renew his contract and he was doing the cool PowerPoint thing. And I remember we were on the show. We were like, damn, like he bossed up and got his new contract. He was just like, no, I'm out. Like, remember he tweeted out like, I'm not here no more. And they was like, wait, like come back. And he actually hustled himself a new contract. And I was just like, he was really enjoyable then. I think the Drew, whatever it was, it's seeming like the reality might have been what his character was on screen. And I think that if that was the case and he was treating people like that, then it's absolutely well within what they had to do to just let his contract run out. I don't think he was offering really much. I think that when you look at NXT, what was he offering Charlie Dempsey that he couldn't just do on his own? You know what I mean? I think giving Charlie Dempsey the ball to run with and let him see if he can sink or swim. Charlie Dempsey's been there for a long time. And I think at this point, like, if your daddy weren't there, his ass probably would have been gone. Let's just be real.
Yeah. I think also Bryan was instrumental in him getting his contract back too. Because Bryan was doing some backstage. This was in 2020, but he was like low-key kind of like writing the shows.
Doing creative, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he might have helped with that.
Should have known he was on thin ice when he got replaced in 2K.
Yeah.
When you lose your video game job. Because in 2K, he was the tutorial dude. And then you pull it on now, and the joke is like, oh, yeah, Woods took his job. When you lose the fake job, the real job is fingertips away from being out of there, man.
Well, speaking of niggas who have a job, Damian Priest has renewed his contract with WWE. I'm the segue king. He has re-signed his contract with WWE. Quickly, what do we see for the future of Damian Priest? Well, let's talk about the immediate future. Where do you see this whole jazz going?
I mean, he's a champ right now.
Yeah. Is he losing in a month?
Probably. He probably should. I'm not gonna lie. He probably should. I don't think this run needs to go that long. I think everyone wants the Drew run right now. I think the Damian run attached to Judgment Day is probably not the run that we want. But I think that I think that this definitely is a feather on Damian's hat. I think that like it's really cool that he was able to get that moment in Puerto Rico. And I think he's got another one coming up. I think they're going to Puerto Rico again very soon. I don't remember what the day. I thought it was this month, but it's
I thought it
it's
too. I haven't heard shit about that. It was like Puerto Rico. Never heard of them.
They're going back soon. I'm guessing. Usually when it happens, they usually just tell you within 2 weeks. But you know, he's had great moments. I think in the future, I see another run for him. I see a big. The thing with the Judgment Day thing, we're gonna talk about this on the show, is like week to week, we don't really know what we're gonna get from this team at all. Like he's babyface kind of 1 week, he was this week. He's super asshole-ish, heelish the other week. So I mean, I could say that I see a big babyface run for him. He probably should be a face now because Drew is pretty much taking up all the air from all the other heels. Like I look at the other heels in the show, I'm just like, you're not doing what Drew's doing right now, yo.
No,
she was just so much like head and shoulders above everyone, and you know, maybe he probably should be a babyface, but I foresee another run for him. But I think the big storyline here is how the Judgment Day disbands and how he reacts to that, and that goes into whatever he's worked out in his contract, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think he's got, for especially at this point in his career, he's having the run of his life. He's just got to kind of keep it going. I think the powers that be really do support him and really do want him there. Essentially, they've had him. He went from underling in the stable to essentially the leader of the stable.
Finn Balor being scared of this nigga is wild, but we'll get to that.
Crazy. Yeah. All right. So yeah, you know what? Let's rev up the Patreon.
Yeah. Like, listen. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to the show and all of our King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring predictions. We'll be back next week with a final prediction of everything as we go into the pay-per-view. Yes, there's another one. We're doing it all over again next weekend. We're going to have predictions for you guys. Greg, thank you so much. When can people listen to you on Cheap Heat? Let us know.
Every Tuesdays, fire up the A show and then go right into Cheap Heat, or do it the other way. Fire up Cheap Heat, go into the A show. We're available on all podcast platforms. Select episodes going to be in video, like that Cody interview that we had a couple of weeks ago was so special that we decided to throw that up on the YouTube in addition to podcast platforms. At StatGuyGreg on Instagram, Twitter, at Cheap Heat Pod on Instagram, at StayMage on Twitter. And then we got a Discord too. Y'all can find us over there. We're thinking about following your footsteps, trying to get the Patreon set up. So we'll see. Maybe I'll come back with more new announcements. But for now, that's just what it is. The new era is getting off right where you found us, podcast platforms.
Hey, Patreon culture is a real culture, man. It's a real family. You've been.
It is real family. It is
real family. It's real family. But thank you, Greg, for being on the show. We got to get you back here for more Baddies talk. I'm gonna send you some links. More Baddies talk. More challenge talk. And thank you guys for listening this week on the A Show. For Meelz and Greg, I am Justin. We'll see you guys later.